It's time to save, New Jersey. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program is your guide to rebates and incentives that can save hundreds, even thousands of dollars for businesses and residents throughout the state by making smarter energy choices. Start today with an energy assessment. We're lighting the way to a clean energy future. Join in at njcleanenergy.com or call 866-NJ.
I'm Jeff Geist. I'm the programs coordinator here. I teach classes, I coordinate festivals and conferences and programs. I'm also a student at NYU. I'm getting my master's in environmental conservation education. So that's it. So again, we're using smartphones for this, so make sure you have your phone out. I'm going to go ahead and pass these around in a second. These are links to get to the survey. So who here has heard of ArcGIS? Just raise your hands.
Heard of
ArcGIS.
Sorry,
Yep.
David?
ArcGIS.
Oh.
Everyone? Someone? Who's used it before? Okay, a couple who's just heard of it but never used it. And anyone just like have no idea what ArcGIS is. Okay, so ArcGIS, GIS is Geographic Informational Systems, and it's a mapping tool. So you make layers, you like geographical topography, that's the word, and make maps and make layers. City planners use it to plan out urban areas and parks and things like that, and then you can also use it in environmental field. We use it here to make our maps. We also use it to kind of survey for tree work that needs to be done. So who's heard of Survey 123? You've used it before?
No.
Oh, you've heard of it.
Yes.
Cool, cool. Okay, so that's what we're going to be using today. So what I want to do is everyone take out your phone, and I'm going to have you pass these around. If you have a QR code scanner, just scan the code. Make sure it's on the Survey 123 practice side, and then we're going to flip them around. So I'll pass one to this side, and then just scan it and pass it. If you don't have a QR code scanner, you can just put the link in at the bottom, and just make sure it's on the Survey 123 practice. So you should come up to a browser survey that says Survey 123 practice. I'm going to have all of you fill that in before we get going, and then I'm going to have you walk around and do a quick little survey of Duke Farms. Open up your camera, and you should, with like an updated smartphone, you should be able to. It'll like go to the link that'll from the QR code, and if it doesn't work, you can just put the URL in at the bottom. And then once we all have it, I'll have you all fill out this form. This form is for practice, and then we're going to do a separate survey for the actual like engagement. You should just have to like open the camera and hover it, and then a link should just pop up, and then you click it.
It should pop up.
To like click and drag the map around, and then at the bottom right,
I don't know. I was waiting to ask the same
plus sign with like an arrow-looking tag, and click that, and that'll put the location of what your dream vacation is. That's
Okay, so we are taking the survey.
Yeah, do the whole survey. It says Survey 123 practice. Make sure you're on that one and not the other one. There's two links on. Okay.
Yeah, it's trying to load and can't load. Maybe I'll just type in.
And then once you're done, you're going to hit submit, and then just make sure you get like you'll get a notification on the browser that it was submitted properly, and you'll get like your survey was submitted or something like a thing. And now I have on this iPad all the data accessible, so as it's coming in, I have access to everyone's butterfly drawings and whatever other things you've selected.
So for this technology, if you have a membership with ArcGIS Online, you have access to this for free.
Exactly.
So if your organization has this, you can actually use this same tool.
Yeah, and so ArcGIS has a free school bundle for K through 12 schools. So look into that. They also have like nonprofit packages that you can get. And this, you do not need anything other than the internet to access, so you don't need like the giant desktop-based ArcMap. You just need like the browser. It's ArcGIS Online. So as you get the survey, just fill it out really quickly. It should be pretty fast. It's just to kind of get familiar with the survey tool and how to use it and how it's going to be working on your phone. And then you're all going to get a different survey that has to do with how Duke Farms is combating climate change. And then you're going to walk around kind of this area and fill in the survey, and then I'll show you what it looks like from the administrative side and how you can access the data. And then we'll kind of talk about how to use it in a classroom setting and an educational setting. So this whole kind of idea came from, I went to a fully virtual conference over the summer from Climate Generation, which is a nonprofit based out of Minnesota. and they had to cancel their in-person conference. They went fully virtual, and we had people from around the country there. And we had a field experience, and I was really interested to see how they're going to do a field experience with people in different time zones all across the country. And they did a similar survey to this and had people kind of explore their local neighborhood and figure out how the neighborhood is combating climate change and what kind of things they're doing to mitigate it. So that's kind of where this came from, and then I was asked to do something about technology, so I thought it'd be a cool thing. So anyone else having trouble with the survey? Anyone already submitted? Let's see what we got. So now I have it on the user interface.
Please don't share my picture that I took on my drawing.
So we have, I mean now, let's see if this works. There we go. It's hard to see because of the sunlight, I apologize. But we're seeing, no one chose chocolate, everyone is between either ice cream or mac and cheese. Maybe I have to, did you submit it?
It's uploading.
Okay, it'll be there in a second. A lot of butterflies, a lot of bad ratings for your artistic ability, and then a lot of green things. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing for this. So now, if you have my laminated sheets, go ahead and flip it over, and you're going to scan the next side. And this is the side for the actual survey to walk around, do a little bit of exploring, and see what Duke Farms is doing to combat climate change, and then you're going to fill out the survey. So it's going to ask your location to get like an exact GPS location of where you're doing it, and then what category it is. You choose more than one category, so the categories are sustainable ecosystems, energy, promoting local food, stormwater management, waste management, infrastructure, transportation, other. And then put your location in, upload a picture of it, and then you're going to put a description of what it's actually doing. So just for some like guidance, wastewater treatment plant, green roof, rain garden, there's rain barrels that way, community garden, permaculture garden is that way, so there's a lot of stuff around here. There's electric vehicle chargers around. Just kind of do a little bit of exploring and see what you can find. So I'd like everyone to try to do like 2, maybe 3, and we have still a while before we're finished, so we have like 40 minutes. So we can take like 20, 25 minutes, go walk around and see what you can do, and see how many we can get.
I have a question about your QR code generator.
Yeah.
How did you...
So actually Survey 123 automatically generates them for you.
So it generates a code, so you download Survey 123 and then
Yep.
when you want to...
So once we get back, actually, I'll talk about it real quick right now. So ArcGIS, if no one has used it before, is free for K through 12 schools. They have a package that's free for schools, and they also have a really discounted package for nonprofits, and I think you get a full year free as a nonprofit. And then Survey 123 is just one of the resources that comes with the package on the web-based ArcGIS program. So it's a really cool resource. We use Survey 123 here to survey for tree work. So as our stewardship staff is walking around, they see a tree that's dead and needs to be cut down, we use this tool. We have a separate survey to survey what kind of trees need work or pruned or taken down, and that's how we do it. But there's also kind of, it's used a lot in practical ways, but not so much in an educational sense. And I think it's really important to have students explore the local surroundings. You can have them go around their house and see what their house is doing, what kind of adaptations they've done at home or their neighborhood, or if you're in person at a school, you can do it there, all in the same place. So,
how cumbersome is it to set up like the simple...
Super easy. Have you ever made like a Google form or
like that.
Jot form? It's the exact same thing. You just have a couple add-ons for maps, and that's it. And then when you have the data, you have all the data as a spatially based map of all the data points. What kind of bird is that?
It's a turkey vulture.
Good.
Does anyone else do this?
Does everyone have the survey up?
Yes.
So go ahead and get up and go walk around. We'll try to get back here by like 11:15 and we'll wrap up. So try to do 3. Once you do a submission, you just have to reload the web page and then you'll automatically be able to just do another submission. Sound good? Any questions?
Sounds good, thanks.
See you in a little bit.
And then
So these are the breakdown of all of the categories that everyone was logging. So we're seeing 47% was sustainable ecosystems, 26% energy, and then it continues. And if you continue to scroll down, here's a word cloud that breaks down the most common words that were used while people were submitting their observations. And here's just the breakdown of how many times those words were used. And then here's the full gallery of all the observations. So if you click one photo, it will tell you a little bit more about what the photo is, and you can just kind of scroll through, and it has the coordinates of each photo. And if you go up here to data, you have the map, and then we can zoom in a little bit on our location, and then look at the individual observations. So this one was from Hazel, and it was waste management at this coordinate, and it's all about the wastewater treatment plant here at Duke Farms. And this is the next one. That's what they all look like. That's it. Nonprofits have some sort of a discounted price, and I think you might get like a free year or free couple months, something like that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So now I just want to talk a little bit about like what were your thoughts, how it could be used, what kind of limitations there are, what kind of things could be taught about it. So this was mainly talking about climate change and using this kind of data. If you're like in a remote classroom setting and all your students are at home, you can take data from their home or from their local neighborhoods, and then you have like a good snapshot of a community. Or you have everyone looking over the school grounds. If you're in person, everyone's on their own device, and then you have a good snapshot of the school. So I just want to kind of hear your thoughts and what you thought of it, how it would work, what kind of limitations there might be. I heard one earlier that was like older kids and adults only, probably can't do it with like elementary kids, middle school maybe, high school definitely, adults definitely.
So when we've used technology before in a school setting, sometimes your whole class period gets eaten up with the technical difficulties piece of it. Like if they're not connecting, or they can't, and if your lesson all relies on getting access to the actual form, and you can't complete that first step, then you're SOL.
I know I personally work in a low-income area and also a very rural area, so a lot of the Wi-Fi, if they can't go to a library or school to use it, their internet is by gigabyte. So if you use up a certain amount of your data in the month, you're done for the whole month. So a lot of the parents, if they can't get, or if the students can't do it in their home, they might have no other way to access it. I would say do it on paper and then send you pictures.
You can absolutely do that. Yeah, I mean, you can get, if you have the coordinates or close enough, and then do that, and then I mean, it could be uploaded at any time. So like, if you stay access to this survey, I have it open where it'll just continue, so you can keep logging stuff if you want to. Go for it. So it's like a continuous thing.
Yeah, and I would say even if you're doing it on paper, a little more flexibility with the location. Like you could say at Duke Farms near tent A.
Yep, exactly.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, you don't.
Be able to get an accurate.
Yeah, so this, like, if you had your location settings enabled and you hit that button to get it, puts you like if you were there, you're right there, and that's where the point is. So anyone who was not here a second ago, I think you guys were here. So survey 1, 2, 3 automatically makes a word cloud. All the observations that were. So the most common ones are the biggest words, and it has a whole word cloud. Who else wasn't here with it?
Thank you.
So then all of your observations are all in one place. I have access to each individual observation. You can also look at each part of the survey individually. If I want to look at all the photos, there's a gallery. If I want to look at the most common words, there's the word cloud. If I want to look at, what else do we have? Oh, there's percentages. So we had, fresh, there's like 52% sustainable ecosystems, and it's just all of the observations that came in are all in one place. And I can also look at each individual point on the map and kind of figure out what it was, what it is. And then you could even turn this into a presentation using story maps, which is a separate ArcGIS add-on, and do something like that and present all the data. And it's all in one place. Cool? Questions, thoughts?
Yeah.
So I struggled with I guess I don't have my location data shared.
Okay.
So I had to navigate to
Like
Duke
estimate.
Farms and try and best estimate, which
Okay.
was definitely a slowdown. So I guess that's a technical technical
yes,
things.
yeah. You need like a location-based thing. If you're using like an iPod that doesn't have location data, you're not going to be able to do it properly. So that there are definitely limitations to it. But with just like a smartphone that's like an up-to-date kind of thing, and you have location enabled, you'll end up exactly where you are. But yeah, clicking and dragging is kind of difficult. We had one of them end up in the Atlantic Ocean down by North Carolina. So like it happens. You end up with like outliers. But so for instance, you see Cameron had energy, and it was renewable energy source as opposed to fossil fuels, and it was a picture of the electric vehicle's charger right over there. So I have all the data and the data point right in one place, and you can look at all of it. So I don't know if I said it to the whole group earlier, we use it for tree work. So we have all the data from all of our surveys for the tree work all in this app. So if something needs to be trimmed or whatever, we have all that there. So it's like a very place-based thing. So I wanted it to be ability for it to be remote, but also in person, using technology, really focused in on one place or one community, and that was kind of the goal. We got like 10 minutes if anyone has any questions or comments or anything. Any cool birds? There's usually a red-tailed hawk or a kestrel back there.
There's 2 kestrels and there's a Cooper's hawk that's
Nice,
kind of like
nice.
mobbing the Cooper's hawk.
It's a little early for the harriers still, but they'll be
There
back
they
there.
there they go. So there's the coop. It's a little bit bigger one, the sipiter, and then the falcons are being weaned. Yeah. Chasing them.
Awesome, awesome. Have you been over to the observation platform yet?
Yeah.
Just making sure. Cool.
It's really nice.
It's really cool. That was just finished. So anyone who hasn't been here before, it's really close. So like on your lunch break, if you want something to do, go right out here to that barrier, make a right, and then just follow it all the way down. And built on top of a well is like a 15 to 20 foot tall observation platform, and it overlooks this meadow.
There's a little pond too, so
Yes.
it's kind of nice to see if there's like harriers or herons. Sun's coming out. We'll probably get turtles. Yeah, I would think so. No, but this, and what were you saying, Jeff, about this Survey 123? If you're a nonprofit, you get a year for free?
I think so. I don't know the exact pricing off the top of my head.
Okay.
But look at it.
Okay.
Because they had something, and I know there's some sort of like nonprofit price too. So they make the school, like I was talking to her about it earlier, the school price is really easy to find. K through 12 school free bundle.
Okay.
But they make the nonprofit one a little more roundabout way to figure it out. You've got to submit like the 501c3 documentation.
Okay.
And stuff.
Have you guys used at Duke? Have you guys used it for other? Like you said, you got exposed to this at a conference, but have you thought about how you'll use it for your school programming here at Duke?
So not really. So
No.
I did the conference in July, and then I was asked in August to do this presentation. So now we're kind of thinking about, and I'm going to eventually present this to our education staff who is not here today. So I'll do this same presentation essentially to the ed staff and figure out how we're going to be able to do this with some of our programming,
Right.
whether it's in person with the school, things like how it could be used in a classroom, and then we'll go through the data a little bit. So like, what is your first impression?
I thought it was pretty cool. I think that there's a lot of opportunity if there are schools that can't go out or something right now. It's a good way to kind of teach without having in-person time.
Cool. Anyone else?
I think it's like a good way to kind of personalize to wherever the students are, because it's about them literally just going out wherever they are.
And it doesn't have to be climate change. It could be what type of trees, if you're doing like something on trees, or if you're doing something on just plant life, or pervious versus impervious pavement, like kind of whatever you can make a survey about. That would be useful to have a map for it. This can do it.
I could see using it in teams.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Get like 3 kids together with one phone,
Yep.
and they all have to work together.
So when we were doing
with
this
their
at the online conference, the idea was we went out, explored our local neighborhood to see what our neighborhood's doing to combat climate change. And then we ended up with this enormous map of all the data that came in. And like, I'm in Metuchen, but then we had people in like Santa Fe and in Seattle. So we had data from the entire country. So the idea is you could do it in a school if you're remote, and then have everyone explore their house. What are their homes doing? What are their local communities doing? And if you're in kind of one area, everyone looks at their house. You have like what the neighborhood's doing, and then you got to get a good idea of what New Jersey is doing potentially. So from this we have 50%. I got to reload. We have 50% from sustainable ecosystems. We have, that was the most.
Part of the natural environment, and that's what we want them to do. We want them to feel that connection.
25% energy, lot of stormwater management, which is kind of to be expected. But then we also have the option. I know I'm just looking at nothing right now. I want to get the map up, and I have to zoom in a lot. But so you have the option to kind of divide up all the data that comes in to either. So that's the map we got. You have some things that are over by the water, some things that are over here, and if you click each individual data point, you end up with the full survey of what that person surveyed. And then you get the pictures, you get everything. You can look at a gallery. And then, so since it's through ArcGIS, if you're familiar with it, there is this entire tool called Story Maps, which is basically ArcGIS's way to merge together videos and PowerPoints and stories all into one, and this automatically will just go right into there. So you have that tool to be able to present the data in Story Maps as well. So any questions, any ideas? We got some time. Anything you want to see?
Do you have to have access to do this survey?
What's that?
What did you have to have access to make a survey?
You have access to ArcGIS online,
Okay.
which is a bundle you have to get.
I have it.
You have it? You do have it? So that's awesome. So if you log in, so it's survey123.arcgis.com, and then you just log in with your normal GIS account, and then you have access to all the surveys.
So it's kind of like customizable iNaturalist,
Exactly.
it feels like.
Yep. And you have, so iNaturalist, you can get the maps from it, but it's not an interactive map. This is an interactive map that you can kind of click everything and figure out what's going on.
Right.
And it's all in one place.
Right.
Simplify the tech a little bit, especially if you were doing all kids who live in the same area for school.
Yep.
You could probably take like a screenshot of your Google Street View of your school area and put that on a Google slide, and then do a Google survey where they link to that slide and they populate that with where they're at.
Yeah, we were talking about it at the earlier session. It's like,
It's not as fancy.
it doesn't need to be exactly in the perfect location, but if you have like kids do a printout and then you kind of put in what the location is, so you have the map that you could then make, but then you have them just kind of like have a paper survey or like a Google survey that's takes the tech out, but then you can yourself add the tech in. Because this is definitely like higher level for maybe upscale middle schoolers, definitely high schoolers, and adults would work well for it, but yeah.